Today I would like to talk about language transfer. Language transfer, I think you've heard of the name or you know what it means. Or you've never heard of this terminology, but you kind of know what I want to say. Language transfer is claims that the more similar your mother tongue or first language is to the target language, the easier the language process becomes. This kind of terminology. And in this video, I'm going to talk about, first of all, what the language transfer is all about, and then secondly, I'm going to share with you my own thoughts, opinions regarding language transfer and the language learning. And thirdly, I want to talk about something that I kind of think of the importance of learning different things. Not necessarily languages, but different kind of things in various fields and spheres. So language transfer is a terminology that claims that the more similar, the closer your first language is to the target language that you are learning, the easier it becomes, the language process becomes. For example, let's say you're native English speaker, let's say, and according to the, I think that was data information from the State Department of the US. For example, since German or Spanish are kind of closer to English, learning for English native speakers, learning German or Spanish or those Indo-European languages are relatively easier than Japanese or Chinese or Arabic, which are far more different from English itself. So this kind of thing. But I think this is one of the example of positive transfer. Let's say you are learning Spanish as an English native speaker. There are lots of vocabularies coming from English as well in Spanish. For example, ahora estoy comiendo la comida en el restaurante. Ahora, now, it's completely different. The vocabulary doesn't look same, but estoy comiendo, esto is like a verb, estar, right? And comiendo, eating, comer and comiendo, eating. So this kind of, if you want to talk about the progressive form, you have to add ing to the verb, and you also have to add be verb. And this kind of applies for Spanish as well, kind of similar. Estar and comer plus indo. Estoy comiendo, right? En el restaurante. Restaurante looks very similar to restaurants, right? So this is one example of the positive transfer. It seems kind of similar to English, the vocabulary and the grammar. That's why it can be easier for you to learn Spanish as an English speaker. And there's also some examples of negative transfer, since there is a big difference between the first language and the target language. For example, when, let's say you are learning Japanese, right? In Japanese, we have hiragana, katakana, and kanji, three different writing systems. In English, we use only alphabets, and that's it. So when you start learning Japanese, you have to remember 46 hiragana and kanji, two sets, and infinite number of kanji, which is very uncommon for English. This can be a negative transfer. It takes time for you to kind of understand the difference between the first language and the target language, in this Japanese, and also you have to kind of memorize lots of characters, unfortunately. So this is when you talk about language transfer, there are positive transfers and negative transfers. And I want to talk about what I kind of think of regarding language transfer and language learning. I partially agree with language transfer. The more similar your first language is to the target language, I guess it can be easier to learn. For example, I'm learning Chinese, and I do understand the meanings of each Chinese character without knowing how to pronounce. This actually kind of helps me to kind of read news articles in Chinese. This is, one example of positive transfer, since Chinese and Japanese use kind of similar. Japanese language adopted the Chinese character system from the language, originally historically speaking. But at the same time, there's a negative transfer as well. For example, since I understand how to the meanings of Chinese characters without knowing how to read each character. That's why when I read, for example, news articles in Chinese, I understand what it's all about. But at the same time, I can kind of skip the each character, how to read it. How to say it? Kind of I miss the learning chances or opportunities. I just understand the nuance of the news article, but I don't know how to read it. So this is, for me personally, is one example of negative transfer between Chinese Mandarin and Japanese. And they say Japanese and Korean morphosyntactically, the grammars, I would say, grammatical order, sentence order, and grammars itself are quite similar. So they say for Japanese people or for Korean people, it's easy to learn Japanese or vice versa. But everyone has a different learning approach and style. Everyone speaks different languages as well, right? So it's kind of very too early to conclude that your first language is similar to the target language. That's why it's kind of simple. I think it's too early, I guess. Partially correct, I guess, but at the same time, not necessarily 100%. That's what I'm thinking of. But as for polyglots and multilinguals, since they study different kinds of languages from different kinds of language cognates, they have some kind of intuitions to learn different languages with a different grammatical and linguistic language structure. So I think the more languages they study and they know, the more languages can be easy to learn. Thirdly, what I want to say regarding, it's not necessarily regarding the language transfer, but I want to talk about the significance or importance of learning things in different various fields and spheres. I was always wondering when I was a student, those who play baseballs played relatively well in football as well. Maybe because they use balls, I don't know. And those who exercise a lot, regardless of the type of sport, since they have a lot of stamina and muscles and they know how to use their bodies, hands, legs, etc., etc. Those who were kind of involved in any types of sports, they were good in different sports as well. For example, those tennis players play well in baseball because they know how to use the racket and then bat as well. Those who swim well can run faster and longer because they have more stamina. And this applies not only for sports but at the same time studying as well. Those who study well, for example history or something, they know how to kind of memorize and remember new words, new terminologies, incidents or years and stuff. That's why they can kind of apply their own memorizing method or approach to other subjects as well. mathematics, not necessarily mathematics, but science or geography or language as well. So what I feel about is the importance of learning different kinds of things. Apparently not kind of necessarily connected to each other directly, but connecting the dots at the long-term perspective. Studying or learning something which is apparently not necessarily connected to the main thing, but indirectly somehow in the future they can be connected to each other, connecting the dots again. So language learning also is like that. Studying different languages is very good, I think. And also studying not only languages but at the same time like other things is also good. And the knowledge that you gain from other spheres, for example economy, politics, journalism, anthropology and stuff, actually help me to understand about linguistics and language learning as well. So yeah, connecting the dots, I guess. That's what I think. I don't know, it's not really necessary about language transfer, but when I talk about the language transfer, it always kind of reminds me of the importance of learning and kind of trying new things in different spheres, from different spheres and from different fields. So yeah, what do you think about this? Please leave your comments in the commentary, and that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. またね。